Welcome back to the Montana garage. Who's ready to see some primer on this firewall? Unfortunately, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Well, hopefully it'll happen soon, just not real soon. It's pretty much ready to spray. You know, I got to go over it, check some stuff out. The firewall is ready to spray. The bottom of the car is ready to spray. And the trunk is pretty much ready to spray. The problem is, well, the main problem is I don't have any primer, so I guess I can't spray it if I don't have some primer, so I got to order some primer. My plans are to use the SPI epoxy first. So, you know, there's a lot of bare metal, especially on the bottom of the car, the trunk, so I'm going to SPI epoxy it, and then we'll go with some sort of a, you know, a 2K primer on top of that. And then I still don't know for sure what I'm going to paint, what color the car is going to be, so I don't know. The firewall and trunk are probably just going to go like some sort of a, you know, a flat black or, you know, a low gloss black. So we'll go that route. Let me know what you guys think about the SPI epoxy. I'm not an expert, I've never sprayed it before, but I belong to, you know, like the Tri-5 forum, I think is where I see everybody bragging about that stuff. So everybody there seems to like it. So that's what I was going to go with. The frame, I'm planning on leaving, you know, spraying an SPI epoxy and just leaving it like that. So we'll see what it looks like. But so I need to get that ordered. I should probably go in and do that right now while I'm thinking about it. But, you know, I'll try to get it done today or tomorrow. And then, of course, we talked about I got to make it so it stays warm enough in here. I think I'm going to build like a little, maybe just a wall of plastic and then throw some foam insulation on the lid, and then, you know, just have to keep this one side where the car is warm. When you spray that epoxy, it's got to stay 65 degrees for 24 hours, I think is what it says. So I got to build that little setup and make sure I can keep it warm enough in here, and then get the primer, and then we'll go on to that. So instead of that, I think what we're going to work on next is going back to the frame. I am going to rip these, I think they're called frame horns, or this is where the rear engine mounts were. These things, I know a lot of you guys are Tri-5 guys and probably know, but these had front engine mounts, which I think went in these two holes, and those, this is the engine I had in there. So these are the mounts that go on the front of the block. So those go on the front there, and then I guess my bell housing is too buried to show that, but the bell housing would have a couple mounts on it that would mount to these frame horns. Obviously a newer, you know, a more update version, you put a mount kind of in here somewhere, and then you end up with just a normal side motor mount on the engine, which would go there, and then you add a transmission cross member back here. So I kind of hemmed and hawed about whether I wanted to do all that, but I guess now's the time. Just, you know, adds a few extra steps in my process here, but I think it's better. So part of the reason that the firewall, I might have said this in one of my other videos, part of the reason the firewall had some damage here is when those rear motor mounts would start to get bad, there's rubber in there, you know, and the engine would kind of sag a little bit. The distributor is already right against the firewall on these things, and then those motor mounts would start to get a little bad, and it would sag and get a little closer, and you would get on it, and I would actually bang the distributor against the firewall, and several times it would break either the, I don't know if I ever broke a distributor cap, but it would break the rotor inside somehow, you know, and then party's over at that point. So yeah, and if the mounts in the back were good, you know, it never really happened, but I don't know, I guess, like I said, now's the time to change it, so that's what we're gonna do. So let's do some investigation. I've never seen anybody else rip these things off here. I know lots of people do it. Looks like we got a weld seam there, probably some spot welds, probably a weld seam on the bottom. So I don't know what the best way is, but we'll just start making some sparks and see if we can get them bad boys off of there. Oh, but first, I still haven't cleaned up my mess. So I'm gonna do that first. And then we'll start making sparks. All right, so we got her cleaned up. That looks much better. I'll probably let the dust has settled pretty good, but probably let it settle a little bit and then blow the 57 off, blow the 55 off again. I got a big sheet of plastic buried over there in the corner that I usually cover this guy up with, and I didn't do that before I started sanding, so she got a little dusty. So I'll get that blown off and covered up, or I probably won't cover it up till I start sanding again. I don't know if you saw me sweeping on my hands and knees. That's usually how I do it when I want to get the shop a little bit cleaner. There's so much dust out here. I'm a tile guy by trade, so I do a lot of tile floors, obviously, and I like my floors to get clean before I start working on them. So whenever I sweep something up, obviously a lot of times I'll use a vacuum too. If I'm sweeping something, I almost always do it on my hands and knees with one of them little foxtail dusters, I think they're called. My wife used to work with me, and it drove her crazy because I'd ask her to sweep something, and I wouldn't even have a regular broom at the job site. I wouldn't have like a kitchen broom or a push broom. I'd be like, oh, there's a broom right here. That's all you need. She hated that. But anyways, I guess just another thing that I like to make, or I like to do the hard way for some reason. But she gets her a little cleaner. Nothing's perfect. I didn't move everything, but she's cleaned up. All right, that's enough jibber jabber. Let's get to cutting these damn frame horns off. Got the frame up in the air so we can take a little better peek at what we're dealing with here. So again, these are the things that are coming off. So we got weld seam there, and there. It is welded down here on the bottom as well. And then again on this side over here, obviously. So my original thoughts were to try to be kind of careful getting these off here in case, somebody else might need them or something. But I don't know. I think so many people are taking them off. I'm sure they're not something that's in short supply. It's going to be a lot easier, I think. If I were to try to take them off so they could be salvaged, I'd have to try to kind of grind this weld out of there, and I don't want to cut into the frame. And same thing over here. I'm thinking if I take my, a Sawzall would probably work pretty good. This stuff's kind of thick. Anyways, I don't have the only Sawzall I have is a 18 volt DeWalt, so that would be probably not a good deal. But if I had a corded Sawzall, that might work. But I'll take my grinder with the death wheel, and I think I'm just going to cut across right here, out away from the frame, enough to where I can get the wheel in there. And then same thing on the sides. Just buzz through there the best I can, and do the same on that side. And then maybe I'll just kind of knock it down out of the way. And then I can come in with the blade. I'll just have this little tab left here, and I could come in with the blade like that to get that cleaned off of there. And then, I don't know, maybe we can wiggle it loose or get it beat down far enough to cut it at the bottom, or maybe I'll have to leave it hanging and then flip the whole frame over and deal with the bottom. So, I don't know. Again, I haven't seen how anybody else does this, but I guess that's how I'm going to attack it. So we'll get set up and see what happens. Let's do this. Sounds like Trey just got home. Oh, shut her down. He cut his mufflers off his truck because that's what teenagers do, right? Anyways, got this one kind of cut off. Still got some work to do, obviously. It's full of lots of grime and stuff in there, but I guess there's no turning back now, huh? So maybe now's a good time for me to ask you Tri-5 guys, what motor mounts should I be looking at? Because obviously I need some new motor mounts now. I was thinking about using some from Earl Williams Classic Chevy out there in California. That's where I got the pocket kit. Seemed like pretty quality stuff, and those guys are super helpful whenever I've called them. So kind of leaning towards them. Probably a little more expensive than some of the other places. But anyways, I know there's a lot of Tri-5 guys watching this. So what did you guys use? It's just going to be a small block Chevy, nothing fancy. Help me out. And then also, what are most of you guys scooting the motor forward a little bit? I think some of them, you know, you can go 3/4 forward or the original position. A few options there. So let me know what works for you guys and what I should be thinking about doing, because I was kind of leaning towards staying with what I had, but I guess not anymore. Hey, I also want to talk about this little light I got here. When I was doing the firewall over there on the 55, I had it hanging in a few different spots, and it's super handy. Anyways, a couple guys, I think like 4 guys, commented and asked me, you know, what this light is, where I got it, all that good stuff. So I know there's other ones out there, but I am super happy with this little thing. I mean, it's obviously magnetic, you know, it rotates back and forth. It has a couple different brightness settings, so you don't have to use up your battery if you don't need it super bright. It's rechargeable, USB rechargeable. Little cord plugs into it. Actually, the charger's over here, so it charger plugs into there. I got 2 batteries, so you know, while I'm using one, the other one can be charging. Anyways, because a couple guys asked about it, I just thought I'd show it again. Super handy. This one's made by Milwaukee. Like I said, I'm sure there's other ones out there, but if you guys are interested in this one, I have a link to it in the description of the video. And you know, full disclosure, that sends you to Amazon. And if you buy it from that link, you know, I make a buck or 2. So, you know, help a brother out if you're looking for a new light. It's a good one. All right, I stuck a pry bar. Actually, I used a pipe wrench because that's what I had handy. Stuck a pipe wrench in there, and between stepping on her with my toe and yanking on her, I just opened that up. I don't have help out here to flip the frame over right now, so I opened it up. So now I'll take the grinder and just buzz this off right here, and then that'll be gone and out of the way. And then obviously I'll have to come in with the grinder, where'd you go, grinder? You know, and do something like this number and this number, whatever the best I can to try to get the little remnants cleaned off there. And we'll be in business. Well, we'll have another one to go, but not too bad of a job. All right, progress report. One side's off. I did kind of get a little aggressive with the grinder, so now I got a hole in the frame down there to fix. So it was just, you know, I thought I was just kind of going straight down. Obviously, you got, you know, the piece of the front of the grinder there, so I had a bit of an angle on the blade, and I guess she cut into the corner of the frame there. So I got to get this cleaned up
And then I guess I'll have to patch that somehow, darn it. So I'll have to be a little more careful on the other side. But things don't always go perfect.
I mean, the moral of the story is, one way or another I can fix it, so it's not that big of a deal. Like I said, I've never done this before, never saw how anybody else did it, but I wanted to do it, so I just hopped in to figure it out, and that's how I do things sometimes. And we got a little extra work to do now, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. We'll get her fixed. All right, getting kind of late. Basically just right where I was at last time. I took some degreaser and tried to kind of clean the crap off of there. I was going to try to get the rest of those welds cleaned up, but my DeWalt batteries are dead. And I don't know, I'm just a little disappointed in myself for cutting that big hole in the frame down there. Like I said, not a big deal, we'll get her fixed, but I think that's a good spot for me to call her quits tonight. Hopefully more tomorrow. Okay, it's a couple days later and I'm back out here to work on this frame. I didn't make it out yesterday. Let's see. Oh yeah, hockey season started. I'm a big Avs fan. So instead of coming out to the shop last night, I watched the Avs get their butts kicked, but oh well. Anywho, we're back at her. And I got cleaned up, and then I took the old flap disc to the first side and got that side pretty much cleaned up. You know, there's a couple little nicks where I got a little deep with the grinder. You know, if the guy's worried about that, you could fill those in with either weld or body filler. I'm probably not going to worry about it, but I will have to fix my freaking hole I put in there. But before we do that, I think we'll set the time lapse up and get to hacking this other side off. Take a quick peek here at what lives down inside of these old frames. Got years of oil and dirt stuck down in that bad boy. I'm sure the whole inside of this frame pretty much looks like that, but keeping her from rusting on the inside out anyways. Alright, we'll keep trucking forward. Hopefully I can get this side off of here without cutting a big hole in the frame. We'll see. All right, so a few minutes cutting and grinding and hammering later, second frame horn has been removed. I managed to not cut a hole in the bottom of the frame this time, so, you know, that's nice. I did get a few grinder marks in it. It's pretty tough to angle the grinder, you know, and get under the welds and such without digging into it a little bit, but, you know, nothing I can't live with, so there we go. One more little project checked off the list. Well, I guess I got a hole to fix over here, but we'll do that in another video. I think we're going to wrap this one up here. So thanks again for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Again, 5,000 subscriber giveaway coming up. You know, I got another 1,000 and some to go, but once we get there, somebody's going to get something cool. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Tell a friend. I get some stats from YouTube, so I can tell a ton of you guys to hit the little notification bell, so I appreciate that. If you haven't done that, hit that little bell. You'll get a notification next time a video comes out. And we'll do our best to keep coming out here to the Montana Garage and making some videos and sharing them with you guys. And appreciate you watching. I'm not sure what's next, but stay tuned and you'll find out. Now that that's a wrap, I'm gonna head inside and order my primer so we can get this dang firewall sprayed.